ISUPK, Trinidad and Tobago, under Commanding General Yohana. We will be live on the streets, 91.9 FM.
West to the death till they bury me.
Every Thursday from 7 p.m. Hosted by Officer Sawapya Allah and Officer Masquayak.
West to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me.
ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Live every Thursday night from 7 p.m. on the streets, 91.9 FM.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to ISUPK.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one west. They're one west. They're one west. They're
ISUPK, Trinidad and Tobago, under Commanding General Yohana. We will be live on the streets, 91.9 FM.
West to the death till they bury me.
Every Thursday from 7 p.m. Hosted by Officer Sawapya Allah and Officer Masquayak.
West to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me.
ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Live every Thursday night from 7 p.m. on the streets, 91.9 FM.
Wagwan priest, you good?
What's going on?
Listen, man, I'm hearing you, man. You ISUPK brothers be talking about the Jacobites that was in Scotland were originally black. You man ain't reaching that.
Listen, put that on the TV right there. You'll see. This is the transportations. If you look right there, it will let you know. Robert Adam, brown. William Bow, black. Dogo Campbell, brown complexion. Black, brown. I see brown, black, brown, black, brown. This is all the Jacobites that was shipped out of places like Ireland and so forth. This is the transportations.
Right.
So this is giving you the complexion of the Jacobites that was shipped out of these places to Barbados and other islands in the West Indies.
Yo, that's mad. So it's saying what? Robert Adams was a labourer and he was what? Brown faced. William Bell was what? Black, curled hair. Damn. That's deep, man.
Which means what as well? Which also means black people was in Europe. Why? Because they ruled the Dark Ages. So that's why they was in Europe.
You man are cold at history, man. All right, man. Shalom.
Zeke, you know the chop. Ayazahab, badness no side. Let me tell you how the badness steer. Dopey bat fly when the Glock display. Tell a boy say no try box this face. Back switch face. You know how your blood clot gasket stay, boy. You must see one back this prayer. When the map stick raise that big straight. Shot misplaced. The key them in your head stop misbehave. Scratch his face. The key never tell us we lock this place. Which locksmith anyway watch this space. War with them bunny like plastic plate. Hey, we don't play around. When you see the UPK around, we bring the fucking AK around. AR-15s and AR rounds. We don't play around. When you see the UPK around, we bring the fucking AK around. AR-15s and AR rounds. We no take drape up. We no take date up, we no stay so. And when the next day come, we no change up. Man, I act them bad as them wake up. AK boss boy, head top shake up. So tell a pussy hold down, violate us. No care where you status, where you take up. Every man a killer till miss a dead face, you straight up. Great stuff, one West Link bigger than NATO. Man we bust it to NATO. Only man we afraid that are the creator, the maker. Hey, we don't play around. When you see the UPK around, we bring the fucking AK around. AR-15s and AR rounds. We don't play around. When you see the UPK around, we bring the fucking AK around. AR-15 and AR rounds. AR-15s and AR rounds. AR-15s and let me tell you how the badness steer. Dopey bat fly when the Glock display. Tell a boy say no try box this face. Back switch face. You know how your blood clot gasket stay, boy. You must see one Baptist prayer. When the map stick raise that lick straight. Shot misplaced. The teeth them in your head stop misbehave. Scratch his face. The key never tell us we lock this place. Which locksmith anyway watch this space. War with them bunny like plastic plate. We don't play around. When you see the UPK around, we bring the fucking AK around. AR-15s and AR rounds.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to ISUPK.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West. They're
That's why I don't know you. I'm not letting nobody sell you crack. You know why? Because I never saw you before. But you a black man like me. That's right. And it's worth something.
This is Black Watch with Commanding General Yohana, the only man to lead blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans.
God made man on this earth. The white man he made man. God made man. God wants man to obey him.
Bringing you real news.
You don't need a black man in the White House. You need a black man in every black house.
For many years, there's a lot of black people who didn't realize how deep the racism of white America was.
You ain't gonna do nothing unless you decide where you gonna stand at with the Most High.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Righteous solutions to issues plaguing our nation.
Boy, you better wake up and see the power that is within blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians.
Join us every Monday from 9 to 11 p.m. Black Watch. Let the show begin. ISUPK, Trinidad and Tobago, under Commanding General Yohana. We will be live on the streets, 91.9 FM.
West to the death till they bury me.
Every Thursday from 7 p.m. Hosted by Officer Sawapya Allah and Officer Maskoyak.
West to the death till they bury me. I'm
one West till they bury me.
ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Live every Thursday night from 7 p.m. on the streets. 91.9 FM.
Right, shalom, never should go down. Shalom, never should share back at them.
ISUPK, Trinidad and Tobago, under Commanding General Yohana. We will be live on the streets, 91.9 FM, every Thursday from 7 p.m. Hosted by Officer Swapya and Officer Makoya. ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Live every Thursday night from 7 p.m. on the streets, 91.9 FM.
Right, shalom again. Peace and officer Swapya, peace and officer Makoya. Shalom, shalom, shalom to Trinidad. Shalom means peace in the Hebrew. Again, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And in this school, it is the truth according to the Bible. That Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people, you are a part of the 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel. And in this Bible, it holds your culture, your history, and your heritage. Right. So again, these are reminders for brothers and sisters, right? To tune into the live again, to bring your questions, to ask your questions, right? Because these questions is very important as well, in learning truth and in understanding, what lies behind a lie, right? The truth. When you find out that this truth was hidden from you, you now would understand the purpose of you pursuing into understanding more about the truth. And this is why the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohana has been, bringing out this truth and teaching this truth since 1969 to so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, that we are the lost 12 tribes of the nation or the children of Israel. Right? So, right? So what we looking like? What we looking like?
Today we want to go a bit, we'll touch a bit on the dietary law.
Right.
In the Bible, there's a dietary law for our people, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Also, too, we're going to touch on nationality. You understand? Understanding who you are.
Right.
As a Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? Because, of course, we grew up knowing or hearing that we are Africans. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
These things have been taught us through generations. In 2025, Black people still believe that they are Africans and they are from different African tribes. According to the Bible, you understand? You are part of the 12 lost tribe of the nation of Israel. In this Bible shows where our homeland is, where our motherland is. You understand? Most people may say Africa, but the Bible says that Jerusalem is our homeland.
That's right.
Jerusalem is the mother of us all.
And again, what we don't understand is that all these people that we consider to be our friends, right? That we consider to be our fellow countrymen, are actually, the people that the Lord, right? The Lord God said that we will not have, right, no dealings with them. And the dealings that we're talking about, not to believe in the customs, the culture.
Right.
Because remember now, again, we all live on this place what we call earth, right? But on the earth there was always separation, and it had a purpose for that separation, right? And what we're going to go into, is a reminder for us as a people, right? So what we're going to touch on first is that we are not what?
African.
We are not Africans, right? And this is something that that we must remember, because now when you go up and you look up what Africa is really again a continent. But when you look at the people that live on that continent, it is almost 51 or 52 odd different nations or people that reside on that that continent, Africa, right? And again, this is where we understand that separation, that we are not part or that from that bloodline of people, right?
Can.
Yeah.
Can. Going to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1.
Right.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee high above all nations of the earth.
Right, and this was, very important for us to understand the importance of this. This is us, having or getting that blessing, from the Lord. And again, that structure never changed because the Lord always had the righteous black men. And to take, as you say, that fairy tale or that lie off of that, where we've been taught off of that lie, is to understand that the Most High God always work through righteous black men, the people then we are chosen, because he say he has chosen us to be our special people. And we will read about that as well. So when we read here in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1, this is the Lord telling us that, he is going to have us high. And that high that he's talking about, we're going to be ruling or having to oversee the affairs of this society and running it in righteousness if we obey his instructions. Go ahead.
Can Book of Deuteronomy. Continue with verse 2, right?
Yeah, jump straight up. Right. So now we hear a little insight about what will happen. Now read that what we have right now.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. So that yes,
yeah.
Pull up the mic out of it.
Right.
Nice. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15.
Right.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. And what is our curse? We could look and we could find a living example of what our curse is. Look at the condition of blacks, Latinos, and Native Indian today. Where we reside, they reside in some of the what would I call the ghettos,
right,
the bayous, the reservations. These are names or by names that was specifically put to, let me say, as a name tag on us. Because why? We were always going to be classed as as low in society if we didn't adhere to these instructions. And because we didn't adhere to these instructions, we end up fitting the description of and being the living example of a curse. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 64.
All right.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other.
Right. And this was in
They were just going to the mic.
All right, no sir. Yeah. So right. It's like I'm always remember I can jump into as well. Right. So and this is something that when you look at this people or this nation, we were the only people that that the Lord mentioned that he would actually do this. Every other nation, they had a, let me say, a wage ride.
Right.
So even though they were scattered, they were paid wages. We were forced off of our will to leave the place where we would call home and reside. We were removed from our homeland, just as they mentioned in the early part, Jerusalem. Right. We removed from these, as we say, our quarters or residency, where the Lord had us residing because of disobedience.
Right.
And we were scattered to the four corners of the earth. And that four corners is just throughout the whole earth. So where we residing today? Go ahead.
Come. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Right. And to understand what we serve today, this is why, again, the topic that we as we say, we started on that we are not, as we say, from this or a part of these people. We are not Africans, right? And I know a lot of people, with
mostly, as you say, our people would always have a conflict or come up against us. And how you mean that we're not Africans? How you mean that we black people, African people?
Right.
Because no, this was a lie that was been taught to us to hide what the truth. So what we're bringing out here is the truth, right? What we're going to serve, we're going to serve wood and stone, and the representation of that wood and stone is again is the follow up of these religions, where is predominantly right now, running this society or running this earth, which is as we say, out of your reference thing. That's right. That is exactly what it is. So
like I say,
yeah, go ahead.
That's after a little bit saying, right? We have to understand when these rules was given to Moses and Aaron, right? It was, as you rightfully seen, it was given to one people, the children of Israel. You understand? And he was told what will befall us if we disobey, following the instructions or the rules. You understand? That was given by the Most High to us.
Right.
As we always say in just, I think it was last week or week before we were talking about it. You understand? As a parent in a house, if a parent have rules in his house,
that's right.
And children break the rules,
right.
Punishment is going to befall them.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So now Moses giving the children of Israel these rules, and this is what we have to understand. Who is these people? Who are the children of Israel?
Right.
Where they reside? Now we read and we hear they're scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? Because of disobedience.
Right.
You understand? Disobedience to what? The rules of their family.
That's right. A big shout out to as we say, to Captain Marquardt, right, from Chicago, right? Yes, right, and who again we have on the live, Azaya, right? Shout out again, we lock and we live here on the street 911, 919 FM, right? And bringing this truth to our brothers and sisters in Trinidad, right? So this is important for us. Again, join us. Again, they can show your comments in the live on the Facebook page, live on the Street 919 Facebook page as well. Also, we live on on the Trinidad and Tobago page as well. So again, feel free to ask your questions, to bring your comments.
Right? Don't forget to call into the studio anytime. Anytime within this hour. The calling number to call in is 342-0081. 466-5391 771-1791. Feel free to call in anytime during the hour of the program.
Right. So the where we are right now, as I say, we're going to do what?
Serve other gods.
Serve other gods. And this is where we're going to cover, or we're going to bring out the truth, because we will not to do that.
Right.
Because this was, as we say, pre-recorded beforehand, that we receive right now, and now we understand the truth behind it. This is why now we could come out now and we could speak against the lie that we were taught here in Trinidad, throughout the Caribbean, throughout North, South, and Central America, that we are people. Let's not say that, yeah?
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah. My question is, if the 10 tribe kingdom that was taken captive by the Assyrians was scattered to the four corners of the earth, and also the 2 tribe kingdoms who were taken captive by the Babylonians, they were also scattered, although some of them went back and built the temple. Right? How can you all identify certain people and say this is that tribe and that is that tribe? And while after those years of being scattered, they intermarried and after a period of time, they would have lost their racial distinctiveness. I want to stay on the phone for the world.
All right. No, sir. I'm calling. Where calling from, if I may?
Where
you calling from? Where you calling from? Your location?
I'm calling from Tunapuna.
From Tunapuna. And if you don't mind if I ask your name, because we have another dialogue, right?
Yeah. My name is Raymond.
Say that one more time.
My name is Raymond.
Oh, Raymond. All right. Again, I appreciate your call, Raymond, and your question, that you're asking, is very relevant, and it is very important because it is helping as well, on topic that we are on right now at present, right? So now Raymond from Tunapuna asked a question concerning, the 10 tribes and the next 2 tribes. Because again, the history of this, we could go back and we could read this history in the book of Kings, right? And they're going to show that division in the kingdom, right? Or the split in the kingdom where it had the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And again, all these records is, predated where we could have received it right now, because now Christ told us this. And, the men that follow him, they going to teach these exact same teachings that we teach out of our records, right? So you draw reference to that point, right? So that history that, is something that we tell brothers, you can come to class as well, because now the time that we have here right now, I can just give a little brief on it again, and that brief is the history in the book of Kings. Go ahead.
I would understand that in Kings, the 10 tribe kingdom was taken captive by the Assyrians in 2721 BC. And the 2 tribe kingdom was taken captive by the Babylonians in 605 and 606.
Right. If I may, right? That's
so
not it. Right. Right.
Don't have to go into this.
All right.
Just tell me the purpose of your gathering, what it is to show.
Right. What we're doing right now, the prophets of old did this. What they did, they brought the reminder to the people, because it also said in the scripture that there would be, certain part of, while coming up our generation that will move away from the instructions of the Lord.
Right.
So where we at right now, in bringing this reminder to our people, we have moved away from the instructions of the Lord, but the Most High God always brought that reminder through the remnant, because the Most High God is our Father, and our Father always had instructions, for his children to follow. And our first step in actually, coming back is to adhere to these instructions, because now when we come up against one another, we are the only people that would not actually sit down and have a proper dialogue on issues like this.
Right.
We'd rather come out and go to the open and try to confront one another instead of coming together and resolve this family issue, right? So what we're talking about here is a family issue. What we're speaking or we're bringing out here tonight is that our people, will not join, to these other people,
Right.
but we live amongst them. This is what we have to understand. And by living amongst them now, we have to understand that we will not to take their customs, their ways. And this is what we read in Deuteronomy chapter 28.
We may not, or not may not, we will not be able to identify the children of Israel or the children of Israel to an extent. In Psalms 87, the Lord shows us he will count when he make up his jewel that this one was born there and that one was
right.
born there.
If I may, right? Remember this caller. That other callers as well too. Right? So yeah, go ahead and
Yes, sir. Come here, right?
Yes.
Just to add a little bit saying, because you're quite correct. You understand? And the people that should understand as well too that the children of Israel, their father, you understand, brought them together and told them what will befall them in the last days.
Right.
You understand? And where they will be. You understand? When you go back to Genesis chapter 49, you're going to see what the father said, what will happen to his children, and where they will be scattered, where they will be. There's a good history to go into. If you want caller, we could go into it next week, please, Lord. You understand, Lord, allow?
Just last thing I will say.
Go ahead.
See, because we are callers.
Yeah,
But the children of Israel are descendants of Abraham. Right?
Just so, right.
We could go to Genesis 50.
Right.
But, you have other problems. I'm not supposed to pick up all the time.
No problem. And again, thanks, Raymond from Tunapuna. I appreciate your call, and again, it's very healthy as well, because conversation like this, especially in times like this, it's important for us. And if brothers and sisters understand the importance behind it, we will always, again, this is why I tell brothers, we have a school. Our school location is in Morris Street, Point 14. The number to call is 479-8286, right? And we could go from there. Right? So again, I appreciate your call, Raymond, right? And yeah, again, I appreciate that. So what that means, thank you, right? So you're luck, and we will touch on that in a little bit, right? I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks. Right? All right. Yeah, man. Right? So, right? So, yeah. Yes, sir. All right. Right. Yeah. So again, Raymond Locke, and again, and this is something that we brought up in the first show now, right? So a lot of our brothers and sisters have questions, and we see that, and the questions that they are asking is very valid, because now they are not learning that. This is why when we read in 64, we see with the silver, and we see that God, and the religion concept of it is what hide the truth from us. So when that truth is hidden, what would happen? No, this is the exact same thing what happen now. Because now this is something that question a lot of brothers and sisters will ask. What about the interracial or the mix between, again, everything is recorded inside that our recorded history is Bible for our purpose, and all these things could be brought to light. The first step in order to really receive in that light, a man must humble himself. This is why when Christ called, as you say, the children, he tell them, lead them. He say, and he tell them, lest you humble yourself. Our humbleness is actually sitting down and listening. This is why we're here now. Because now we were just like all our brothers and sisters in the world, seeking the truth. But what strike that? In actually hearing this, what we talking about, hey, it's not African, but wait now. Let me listen a little more. So in order to lucky, to really get the full understanding, man, our brothers are most lucky, right? This is why we start here, right? And we walking up, as we see that slow walk, to bring that reminder, just like I said, we were reminded as well. That reminder was brought to us as well, right? So go ahead.
Can I continue? Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I transfer? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall scatter thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
Right, and this part now is going into what Raymond was talking about, the 10 tribes and the 2 tribes now. We think that, that all border brothers, which is the tribe of Asher, they went into captivity as well. All our Hispanic, these same 10 tribes that we talk about, the native, they went into captivity. When Columbus came here in what year, they were took to Europe, to Spain, to Portugal, to these places, to portray that, hey, the jewels that they were looking for, these were the jewels. Because why? These jewels now would do what? Is what would keep this whole place up. Because remember now, the Most High God say, choose us, not because we feel in our mind, but why? To run or to look over his affairs. And in order for us, as you say, to his affairs to be looked over, this place would have order in it. What happened to the place right now? It don't have order. So now we're talking about the ships, right? Who were brought here, as we say, on ships? As we say, so-called black people, and we'll read about it as well. Go ahead.
And they, ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Right? And no man shall buy you. And why? These were the times that we had no, as we say, no help at all. No power. As we say, nobody to help us. This is why I say no man will do what? No man will buy you. We could not help one another because now we, at that point in time, just as the caller say, we already scattered. We were already this, like you say, this dismantled as a nation. So we were I would say, just as you see, we scattered through the four corners, right?
So like yesterday, I told you saying, and they say no man shall buy me, no man shall redeem us. You understand? If you look at plenty black leaders that rose up,
right?
You understand? The Martin Luther King and the you know, all these different leaders that rose up, Marcus Garvey and all of them. You understand? Trying to save black people. You still ending up in the same position. You never change. Right. You understand? And to add just a little more to what you're saying, even when you look at the Asherites, the Venezuelans, the Haitians, and all of our brothers from the 12 tribes, they're going through the same thing that we as black people going through, under the same oppression, you understand, of the oppressor, which is the so-called white man. So that yes,
right? Yeah. Again, and why it is because, you know, why we call them so-called is because now this is somebody who had a hand in oppressing us. Right. This is why we always recognize the people that oppress us as, you know, these people will be always, you know, certain lies, and this is what happened, right?
Right, so we're going to this underground compact idol dictionary. We're going to read a little bit about Ham.
Right.
You understand? Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
Right, and just a little backdrop. When you go back and you read this story, as you say, in our records, because again, this is pretty again back in our history.
Right.
It was recorded for a purpose. So this as you say, this son was one of the survivors of when the Most High God, as you say, bring destruction to as you say, to civilization. When people hear he destroy the earth still here, but it is just like a reset, or to change, to have things reset because it was out of order. And it's the same thing we'll see in a minute right now. Right. So go ahead.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. Not the Negroes.
You notice it didn't say not the Africans. Right? Go ahead.
But the Egyptians,
right?
Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
Right? So these is, you know, who this son that rose out of his loins, right? These nations, as we say, these so-called African nations, right? Go ahead.
Reading from the book of Babylon to Timbuktu, you understand? Written by Rudolph R. Windsor.
Right.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
Right.
The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
Right. So now we just read the same thing here in Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Right.
Right. And we seen, you know, a historian, a black historian, you know, going back and reviewing the records and recognizing something,
right,
that there was a separation between Africans and the Negroes. Right?
Yeah.
Correct me.
Yeah.
Right? And this is the importance of this. And we tell brothers and sisters that in order for you to understand this, you must remove the lies that you have been taught. Because now, let me look at a simple example at this. Everybody looking at what's taking place right now in Africa.
Right.
What's taking place right now here in Caribbean. North, South, and Central. Let me draw it. Not taking place right now in the Caribbean.
Right.
Who would come to our aid? Who would come to our, as we say, to our assistance? They fighting their war on that side. Now, who coming to fight, our battle right now?
Right. So that question, if I may, even when you look at the African leaders, many of the African leaders, they have many books and articles on them, and they apologizing for slavery. You understand?
Yes,
They
sir.
have. Right. So like, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
On this program, but I learned some nice things from earlier, and I definitely say, well, look, President, people could have a conversation with them because they were going on. Normally, your name. I would say good night.
Yeah, sure. Shalom. If I may,
Good night, and Tobago.
Right.
I always usually say good night, call. Because wherever my truth carry me, and this what my truth carry me is true nature and the circumstances of the life that I have experienced to exist. So, in that what I'm saying is that all in this religious program here tonight, just because I'm hearing something there as an African person, you say you call yourself African, I would say a melanin human being as a ham generation. And I am one kind of human being. When I look from the 9th chapter of Genesis to the 11th chapter of Genesis, I see a history that's it's so wrong-sided that many of our African people can't even see themselves in it and recognize who is the oppressor in that 2 chapters of Genesis. That we keep on knowing that the oppressor is with us. But it ain't gonna be so easy. I've been harmed. I've been for Mizram, Flute, Kush, and Canaan. Then we have Nimrod in next side, who is the son of Cush, who made Abraham. The same person called Ur, and we have the capital that Ur the child leads, which is Babylon. We just call all them we call Babylon is Babylon. We were Babylon in the fifth century.
If I may interject, Paula, right? All right. Right. So what we is there and is a reminder for the callers and then that calling in. We taking questions, right? This platform that we are on as a reminder, and I want to make it clear to our brothers and sisters. Just now, caller, as we say, we have another dialogue. And right, and we need to be respectful to one another, just like I tell you. And that I tell the caller from before. The program we have, as we say, is a little window, and the window that we're utilizing now is like a reminder. So now it's like I pass in, I say, hey, President, be aware, right? And you might shout back to me and say, hey, so what right? Because I'm my Hebrew name. Hey, I understand you. All right, let me tell you, take heed. So now the window that we have right now, it's so, let me say, it is so minute that a caller call in, ask the questions, we can have a dialogue. But now, that's why we tell brothers, hey, you come down to the school. Because now, what you going into is a teaching. And the time we go to take with this, as we say, a back and forth, we might take up the rest of the show, and somebody else might want to call you and might have a valid question, right? To ask. All right? Right. So you have a right before.
One question to that going to be
right.
Why it is really the consciousness of the 3 sons of the 3 sons of
Noah,
Shem, Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Right.
Recognizing that those 3 was 3 different gods. Because when we put talk about Ham, first life, then we had Shem I'm just saying, what do you want to say?
Right.
Those same people was well analyzed
Right.
or African.
Right.
This is the point.
Just now, caller. Just now, caller. Caller.
Shall I be controller on my
Caller. 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 Caller.
Go ahead, because I have too much and I don't need to listen to that.
You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. Right. Caller.
Yeah.
Again, I just let you know, right? So, we're going to answer. We're going to answer. We're going to answer, right? So now the caller just jump ahead, right? So now we're going to touch on who Shem is as well, because now we identify him. So what we highlighted now, and this you see the problem. You see the problem, and again, know this. This is why we tell and remind brothers and sisters that the platform that we are on, the men before us face these same, I would say, these same questions. This is nothing I would say, as we say, that ain't new to us. This is nothing that ain't new to us.
Right.
So now the question that he asking now, he drawing light to him. Why it is now we are trying to gravitate or line ourselves to our people that is not from our, let me say, who the Lord choose. And this is why when we read as we say in the Babylon back too,
right,
it identifies us as this because it have a lot of history as well,
right,
where it shows where some of these African nations even coming
right,
out and apologizing
right,
to black people.
Mm-hmm.
So now we, as a people, we always like to neglect ourselves because now we were brought up in and taught lies. And in order to conquer lies, the truth must be heard, or it must be brought out. And again, in the record, say, we can't tell you the truth. Now you're vexed with me?
Okay, so I can say,
Well,
what caused things like these to happen to me? We appreciate the caller calling in as well.
Right, yeah.
You understand? And if we have a much bigger window, we will entertain the conversation. You understand what I'm saying? The conversation is very healthy because of limited time. You know what I mean? But also too, what I want to get in, and for the listeners and them to understand is that there's a lot of history in understanding the difference between you and the African. You understand? When we were told that we were sold into slavery by we are Africans and we were sold into slavery, you understand? The reason why they said Africans sold Africans into slavery is just to put not to have a difference between the captor and the captive.
That's right.
But when you look at the history of the Africans, these Africans never look back for their brothers or their sisters that were sold into slavery. All our athletes and runners and all of them up on this side doing so excellent, but yet still we do not have one monument. You understand? Of these athletes from over on this side, these Negro athletes, that's what I'm putting it, over in Africa.
Right.
Wow. You understand?
All right.
When, as I was bringing out the week before, last week or the week before, when Otumfu came down here, the Independence or Emancipation Day parade, and he went all in UE and all these different places, we have to go back and look and listen, which is very important. So when these African leaders speak, you understand? He said out of his own mouth that he knew that there's only 3,000 of his people here. And of course, there's more than 3,000 black people in Trinidad. So then, who's the rest of them? You understand? Who's the rest of these people? You understand? When they go and they're dealing with these Africans and they're doing their history, they're seeing where they're calling us kata, which means cotton picker. They know that there's a difference between us and them. You understand? But these things, we are not taught these things. And place the blame for the state that we're in right now is his religion.
That's right.
You understand? Because I love the energy the caller call it. It's a beautiful energy. You understand? But what we're not doing is directing that same energy to the Christian church and these religions. You understand? Asking these religious leaders what's going on in this book. You understand what I'm saying? But again, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we are here. It's not a church. It's not a religion. Because the Bible have absolutely nothing to do with religion. This is a school. A school to teach blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians their lost history, their lost culture, their lost heritage. This is what we have to understand. You understand? So call her again, call her for the call, which means thanks for the call. And of course, you could call in, but the time limited to different callers that might want to call and drop their little point now, you know?
Yeah, again, what I'm bringing out in the very again, and this is why these are reminders as well to us, right? And again, the amount that there's to cover, we don't even look at that because now, just as you say, the importance of brothers and sisters reaching out, callers reaching out, it opens a pathway, just like the caller made mention, that this is going to go out, right? And the questions that is being asked is very valid question, and it shows the mindset that there's brothers and sisters still in Trinidad and Tobago who have who want answers towards their questions. So now what the caller asking, he looking for answer towards it, and this is why we tell the brothers and sisters, come to the school. Come to the school. There's a school that that commanding General Yohana, throughout his years, in holding down this truth under the spirit that the Most High Christ has raised, and raised up many schools, has raised up generals, captains, officers, sisters, to example of what this family will actually look in the eyes of other nations, right? So, what we are right?
You're just reading from the Balanced and Box with the Jewish slave, right? And understand, and we was watching whereby we see during the period from Completed Julius that over 1 million Jews fled from Jerusalem, you understand, into Africa. Fleeing from what? Roman persecution. That's like the first call I was calling before you was talking about the different captivities. You understand? The different captivities, there were atrocities and things that happened whereby we had to flee. Flee to different places. Sometimes we were conquered and you know what I mean? So now, during the Roman persecution, we fled into what? Into Africa. Now, that is a prophecy that is in the Bible.
Right.
You understand? The historian bring it out through his historical records and his historical searching. But in the Bible shows where we fled from Jerusalem. Fleeing what? Roman persecution.
Right.
You understand? So we're going to go into that. Right. The book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 20. And when ye see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Right. So now it highlighted in red, right? And this is what we now read from the word, from the Bible, right? So love our Winslow, a historian, went through the records and recognized that again. This is why we use his certain history books, and when we read through it, it will highlight certain, let me say, things that took place at that time in our records. It needs to be highlighted. Right? Go ahead.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
Right? And the word Judea just a term for Jew, for the Jews. And what we say? How much Jews?
1 million Jews.
1 million Jews. So this is why, as we say, we all forefathers flee from Roman persecution.
Right.
And this is our King, our child, Jesus Christ, which we all know him as, bringing this out, highlighting what would take place, and it actually came to what? The prophecy came to pass. Right? Right? Go ahead.
Right, we're going to continue, or we jump on because I was
yeah, go ahead.
We're going back to the Babylon box 2 again, you understand? Page 19. The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes
They carry their culture, history,
right,
laws, and written records with them.
right,
This assures them a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization. Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not Salakia, the Jews was not absorbed into the obnoxious population. In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians.
Good night.
If you live over here, boy. If you live on the Facebook, ISUPK Trinidad, just lost some power here, right? So stand by, Baba Pusha.
Yeah,
Alright. So again, we live on in the studio here, right? We live on our Trinidad and Tobago Facebook.
ISUPK Trinidad.
Trinidad and Tobago. You see what is take place when the truth going out. So you continue to teach, right? So it is a reminder as well. So this ain't stopping us from bringing that reminder out to our brothers and sisters and take note that it's Trinidad and Tobago. The truth, it will always have an impact, especially when as you say, as you go out. In scripture say, immediately who? The deceiver come to take it away. This ain't stopping this. This ain't stopping this. Right? So
the Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, agriculturists, etc.
Right? So now it give you a whole insight what it would take to let me say to have a nation stable, what it would take to build a nation. And all these, let me say, these skills would be needed in order to, let me say, to build a nation and I would say have the economy at a sense of stability of flow.
And so let's just say for me just to add a little bit again to what you're saying.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Good night, listeners of the Street 919 FM. We do apologize for the breaking in programming. We just experienced a power outage, and once again, we're back up. So continue to keep it locked right here on the Street 919 FM with ISUPK.
Right? Appreciate that. Right? So, as you know, as of some fact now went it, and again, this is something that even when we go in our records, we see why it is these other nations needed to have their economy stable with, as we say, with people or as we say with the slaves. And that's using that too. Because now it draw a broad perspective. Because now for you to be that person is something that all fire will. You then choose that, they force you or brought you into that. And this is why when we read again in Luke, it was our king highlight or warned us through that persecution that was to come. Right? And us fleeing, as we say, to West Africa, we reside there. And what we uphold our laws, our culture, right? And it was a reminder for us that we weren't to do what? To have any dealings with these other nations.
So like I said, for me, just adding a little bit on what you're saying, you understand? Because it's saying here in the history that, you know, we live with our culture, our history, our laws, written records, and it's saying this assured a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization. You understand? And we seen whereby, you understand, this nation being surrounded by the Roman army, fleeing into Africa, and they fled with all their painters, secretaries, treasurers, which means is a functioning government, a functioning people. You understand? That ended up in Africa. You understand? They say that we even absorbed some of the African tribes, which means these African tribes started to like the culture, started to like the things that black people doing. You understand? Just like it is today. If you look, every nation trying to do what? Be like black people. You understand? Trying to be like black people. The all we music, the all we dance, the all we song. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that we doing, these other nations gravitate to. Because in the scripture, the Lord says something which is very important for us to know. We are what? The salt of the earth. You understand? Israel. These 12 tribes is the ones that give the earth flavor. They give the earth vibe. You understand? We have the laws to flavor this earth. But the Lord say if the salt lost his savor, who going and savor it? Who going and give it back that taste? You understand? So that's just adding out the conversation.
So what we going at now?
We can continue out with more, no? Baba Kusha?
It's about 10 minutes.
10 more? Alright. We continue out with more Baba Kusha.
And before where that's read from that part, now we can put in the records now to get enlightened about where you just read.
Remember we just came out from Bukalu.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand? Showing where we fled into Africa.
Right.
Right? So you want to go to Deuteronomy 7? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and Girgashites, and Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Right. So now it highlighting again these African nations and them, and we'll highlight them as greater and mightier than us, because now they were what they were as we see around us. So when we fled into what? Into West Africa.
Right.
And by fleeing there now, these nations or these African nations were mighty and stronger than us. Right? So go ahead.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Right? And what it say? We shall make no covenant with them. This is a reminder for us.
Right.
We should make, as you say, not take up their customs, not take up their laws. We should make no covenant with them. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
This is the next topic that we'll go into, Lord allow, on the program as time go on, the Immaculate Conception, because this is something that we should understand what marriage is and why we shouldn't, like how it is right now.
So like just adding a little bit, even to when the call before saying, if we married into all these other nations, how we gonna know who's Israel? You understand? We go touch on that a little more. But this is where we at now. We stay in the
go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, I think we'll be long because I know you have about must be 6-7 minutes, according to you, say 10.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask one simple question because on the topic thanks for learning, and I like to ask question and be simple with it. The position of Egypt, since Egypt also was a son of Ottoman, and the position of Egypt, who had such a colossal first civilization after coming out from Sumer, all those areas, and then the inhabitants of the whole world, more or less, who was living around the coming in into grabbing the best of life they could have got. And today, if it put the people put such a ban on that kind of history where the world right now utilizing that same history for existence from the Great Extension down. And I want to ask myself, why is it not acknowledging myself as Ham rather than as Shem? Who's Shem is the one that is right? Because Ham generation is not having ever but when I look at them with Ham, I can see right. The genetic see right. And royal gold. All you have a story picking up there, and I want to hear more from all you have got all you think all you know. Because a serious one of the greatest obstructions in the whole of Middle East from the days before, because they always wanted to look at the location was located right next to the Caucasus Mountain. And many of them have Usher. When they call Usher, Usher was on Japan, and Usher came out.
Now, Paula, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Trust me.
And you use president, right?
Exactly.
From where? From where?
Oh, my organization is never independent, but I would like to get all justice and honesty are part of that organization. And I will rule. The mind is about to rule.
All right. All right, President. President. All right.
Thank you, President.
Yeah, shut up.
You continue your program.
Right. Right. So again, everything that is been highlighted, note has been taken. Don't feel it being noted, and as a reminder, and to show you, the let me say the condition that we have to come out of.
Right. Yeah.
It's so let me say incorporate around somebody or someone that we are not, where it resides in our spirit to give up. And our records remind us, we say, our forefathers before us remind us, and it reminded us that the importance of standing for truth.
Right.
Don't be swayed by, as we say, these doctrines, these philosophies that these other nations took. Because now, when you look at the records, the draw reference to Egypt, Joseph is the one who the Most High God raised up to save Egypt.
Right.
Without the present, just as in draw reference, the souls of the earth in the midst, it would have no flavor. Joseph was second in command in Egypt. And, interpret the dream of Pharaoh, the African. That, as we say, that Egyptian, or what we call Egypt, the Egyptians, right? Mizraim. And because of that, this is how Egypt survived today. Right? So the importance of us knowing our history and knowing who we are, we need to stop, as we say, cling to lies and gravitate to truth.
Right.
Because if we continue on along that path, again, just as we say, look at the conversation here. Why it is now out of the how much? They're not
Kung Fu.
Out of the 3,000 Africans and them, one calling. One of you Africans just calling. Not I'd say a son of the from Shem. One of you
Africa.
Yeah, one of you native from the sons are ham calling. Because now I did that and explain what this brother here is experiencing.
Right.
We will bring that to we go into the truth again and look at the time and all upon we already.
How much time we have there? Is it?
Yeah.
Alright. I just want to say shalom to all the callers that will be here instead. Alright. Just want to say shalom to all the callers.
Right.
You understand for calling in. We appreciate your calls. Feel free to call in next time you come on the show. Call in anytime, any hour. Ask a question, but just be mindful of the different callers that might have calling in. We really appreciate your call. We appreciate the listening audience as well too. You understand? And be sure to tune in next week Thursday. We come back with the same topic. We come back with the same topic. Yeah, we come back with the same topic. You understand? Give some more views. And again, some more views on the website.
We need to be that terrible as well because it's important as well.
Right? So shalom again, Trinidad.
Yeah, shalom again.
You are listening to the Street 919 FM. Stay with us for news, interviews, and commentary that shape our democracy. Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
ISUPK, Trinidad and Tobago, under Commanding General Yohana. We will be live on the streets, 91.9 FM.
From west to the depth till they bury me.
Every Thursday from 7 p.m. Hosted by Officer Sawapya Allah and Officer Mathkoya.
West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me.
ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Live every Thursday night from 7 p.m. on the streets, 91.9 FM.